legislation.
Okay, resolution number 2014-30, a resolution authorizing and directing the finance director to advertise for bids with specifications recommended by the police department for a towing service contract to be used by the city of Maple Heights for all needed towing services and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion for adoption, please?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Mr. Brownlee?
Yes, Madam Chair. This resolution is authorizing the advertisement for bids. The bid specifications, though, I must admit, are quite archaic. They were passed in 2013 in our codified ordinances. It outlines some of the requirements for towing. Of course, 2003 it was passed. So we're all well aware of how prices for everything have gone up since 2003, not the least of which is gasoline. So these rates that are listed, sadly they're not in the resolution, but they're in our codified ordinances, are quite outdated. Secondly, in our codified ordinances, we want someone to tow all of our city vehicles for free, which you could understand if we were only talking about police cruisers, just a regular car. But when we're talking about dump trucks, when we're talking about fire trucks that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, to ask someone to tow those for free, I think we'll be wasting our time advertising with such specifications. And so on that note, I would suggest that we table this and reconsider our ordinances, update them, and then go out for bids from towing companies before we, so we know what we're really asking for before we put it out there.
Is there any further discussion, please?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Jackson.
as was discussed, the past bid specifications are going to be modified before it's let out to bid. So some of those issues will be handled during that modification. That's all.
Thank you. Call the roll for adoption, please.
Adams?
Yes.
Jones? Yes. Sepharadi?
No.
Jackson?
Yes.
Brownlee?
No.
AG? Yes. Motion passed by 4-3. Resolution number 2014-31, an emergency resolution strongly supporting the passage of House Bill 267 and Senate Bill 180 by the Ohio General Assembly, which proposes to extend the eligibility of the Homestead exemption to elderly or disabled homeowners in the city of Maple Heights and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is on its second reading.
Resolution number 2014-35, a resolution authorizing the city of Maple Heights to accept the title to 2 vacant parcels of land on Greenway Road for the land bank in the city of Maple Heights and declaring an emergency.
This resolution is also on its second reading.
Ordinance number 2014-36, an ordinance repealing chapter 1487 of the codified ordinances regarding certificates of rental compliance and amending chapter 1486 regarding the registration of rental properties in the city of Maple Heights and declaring an emergency.
This particular ordinance will be moved to a committee, the Economic Development Housing Committee, for further discussion and possible amendment.
Resolution number 2014-37, a resolution authorizing the mayor to renew the contract with Waste Management of Ohio Incorporated for 2 years and to eliminate the recycling program in its entirety, effective immediately, to provide garbage and waste removal services in the city of Maple Heights and declaring an emergency.
May I have a motion to suspend the rules and place this resolution on its third and final reading?
So moved.
I have a second move. Mr. Jackson. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Sephardi?
a lot of the residents from District 3 have responded to my request for their opinions, and they do not agree with the elimination of the recycling program. I think the recycling program is a little bit bigger than just saving money. I also believe that one of the residents had a good idea of why are we extending the contract when we could possibly be paid up at the end of the year and then go out for bid again. So with that, I would like to make a motion to eliminate the 2-year extension of this legislation to propose it to council right now.
There's no second? There's no second? Is there any other discussion, please?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I agree with you about the recycling, but the city, we're in bad shape. And if we discontinue the recycling, we will be able to keep a couple of police officers, and we can revisit the recycling.
Any other comment? Go ahead.
I listened to the residents from District 3. I myself looked down my streets today to take in this recycling thing. Out of 30 houses on my street, 9 people participated in the recycling. 9 out of 30. It's the same figures that Waste Management gave us. Waste Management gave us a figure of 11% participation. 11%. I also heard issue 15 rejection on the income tax. You can't have it both ways. You just can't. You want us to balance the budget? We're going to have to make some hard decisions, and this is one of them. That's why you elected me from District 1 and the other councilmen from their districts. It's with a sad heart that I have to give up recycling, because I was for it from the beginning. At 11%, it makes me think, yes, we might. In caucus, a proposal was made, which will go into committee of Ms. Adjei here, council lady, to look at a place to put a recycling bin for those that want to participate, to take it over to this location or locations. With the income tax being rejected, the mayor has asked us and residents to come up with ideas. We're welcome to it, but along with those suggestions comes the hard decisions. How do we make up for this 1.8 million? And we have another audit coming, and it might be more. And I thank Waste Management for putting us on a payment program. Will others do the same? You told us yesterday to pay enough taxes, not all of you. 600 and some votes we lost by. And I was there talking where District 1, talking to them, voted big time to vote down the tax increase. Voted down. I pay too much taxes. I ain't paying no more. We have a bedroom community. I don't know if everybody knows what that means. That means all we have is housing. We have no big developed industry in this town. All our stores. You come to a planning zoning meeting, there's nothing there. Daycare, daycare, daycare. And guess what? They don't pay taxes. Another reason we're into this mess.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
We're going a little off the topic.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's why I'm voting for getting rid of the recycling. And please understand my decision. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Okay, is there any other discussion, please?
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
If you go out the back here, you can practically see my house. You might be able to see it through the fence. And you'll see there's more blue bags of recycling you see on most. Of course, we've got 7 people in my family, so you make a lot of garbage. But we take pride in doing the best we can to recycle. The reason I am going to vote against this is because the only figure we have seen is that will save X amount of dollars. No one discussed how much it cost, but more importantly, how much is being brought in from you to pay for this. No one has answered that question. I asked the mayor Monday night, he didn't come with it tonight. So how much? I mean, it might be less than we're paying waste management. It might be more. And so I think that we should know the answer to that question before we decide to reduce the service that residents are paying for. You pay $180 a year, and if that amount of money collected equals or is greater than the amount we pay waste management, who are we to cut your service because you've paid for it? That's it. A question that hasn't been answered. If it could have been answered, I could have voted yes. But on those lines, I must vote no, because I'm not going to reduce your service having no idea whether you actually already paid for it. You may have paid for it in your special assessments on your property taxes. Therefore, I'll have to vote no at this time.
Excuse me, but we would like a little less talk over there because it's very difficult to hear what's going on. You're welcome to share your comments after the meeting, but please be courteous. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
One thing, this isn't a renewal, this is a pickup of an option on our existing contract. Number 2, we have been waiting for a state budget, and that budget came in with $1.8 million in debt. There's very few things that we can save or change in the city right now that we're going to save $100,000. I am for recycling. I would hate to see it go away. Personally, I would keep it. But some type of way we have to balance that budget, or as some people say, we will turn into a suburb that we don't want to be. People have come up to the mic and talked about services, but we don't have the money. And they turned down the levy, the citywide did. So unfortunately, we have to look for ways to save money. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Call the roll to suspend, please.
Madam Chair.
Call the roll to suspend, please.
To suspend the rules, Adams,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Sephardi,
No.
Jackson,
Yes.
Brownlee,
No.
Agee,
Yes.
second reading.
That will go on second reading since we don't have enough to suspend the rules. And perhaps there can be more information for those that are not in favor of this initiative. Would you turn your expenditures over $1,000, please? That would be 2014, 53 through 57. May I have a motion to approve?
So,
Second, please. May I have a second?
So moved.
Thank you. Call the roll.
Adams,
yes.
Jones, Sephardi, Jackson,
Yes.
Brownlee,
No.
Agee. Motion passed.
Thank you. Mayor's report, please.
Thank you, Madam President. wants a reality check tonight? Anybody interested? Okay, this is probably going to be, I lost count how many times, and in lieu of sounding like a broken record, this is not a joke. This is not by any means funny. This is reality. Where did the money go? Now, I've heard comments tonight that we didn't know, we don't know. Nobody tells us anything. There's nothing on the website. We have one newspaper that, you know, the coverage is kind of bleak because they cover so many suburbs. So everyone remembers, if you own a home, if you're a homeowner, if you live here, if you're in this room tonight and you own your home, you remember when your home was devalued, don't you, a couple years ago? That if your home was worth $120,000 or $100,000, you opened up that revaluation and all of a sudden it was worth $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, and all of your value evaporated in one day. We all remember that. Well, when the county did that, that's where all the money went. $1.5 million every year. Now that took the solid waste fund, which that is tied to the property taxes. What you pay in property taxes, when I was a councilman and a council president here, it was $15 a month that was billed to the homeowner, the resident directly. So you either mailed in your check or you brought it down to City Hall and you paid for your rubbish. But then a past administration, different council, they had this idea, bright idea, whatever you want to call it, hey, let's put it on the property taxes. Not thinking that in 5, 6, 10 years down the road, the property taxes were going to tank. So there went $450,000 to waste management because the money wasn't coming in. And at the same time, the police and fire levy, which is also tied to the property taxes, went in the red to the tune of $600,000. Now that pays for about 8 firemen and 8 policemen that were charged to that. The rest of that came out of the general fund. Then the street lighting. Street lighting is not free. We pay for that. We do. Taxpayers, residents. That is also tied to the property taxes. Street lighting. That went in the red $200,000. $200,000. So you have almost well over $1 million right there. That's where the money went. The money didn't go anywhere else, and that was on top of the cuts from the state of Ohio, which was $1 million when Governor Kasich took office. He cut us $1 million. And that was out of the local government fund, the estate tax, and the cap tax. The cap tax is the commercial activity tax. So we were cut $1 million by the state and $1.5 million by the county for the last 4 years from the state and the last 3 years from the county. Add it up. You cannot run a city. You can't run a village, a township, when you take a hit for almost $9 million. You cannot. The money isn't there. You may think it is. You might read some propaganda or whatever you want to call it, political literature, that there's $19 million or there's $32 million or whatever $1 million. It's not there. It's not coming in. They cut us. They hurt us. I've said this over and over and over again. We went down there. Mr. Arnold made the comment about vacant houses are dragging down values, correct? That's what you said. We tore down in this city over 100 homes. Where did we get that money? From the government. It was White House stimulus money, Obama money as it was called. We received $500,000 to replace some sewers on Raymond and Phillip Street and then repave those streets. The other half of that money went to tearing down those houses. Now, when we met with the county, they told us we devalued that entire street by removing that house. If there was a house on that street that was worth, say, $13,000 that had no plumbing in it, the windows were broken, you could have drove a bus through the hole in the roof. We tore it down, tore the basement out, filled it in, planted grass. They said, you devalued that whole street. There was $17,000 or $13,000 sitting there, now there's zero. So you brought down property values. And we looked at them, and I looked at them and said, are you kidding me? That is like medieval thinking. We had, the federal government gave us this money, so you're telling me you're smarter than the federal government, and you're telling me that you took our values of our homes, and a lot of us have nice homes with manicured lawns, and we take care of them, and because next door there was a house there and now there's not, that brought my value down $50,000? I mean, people have no idea. And I don't know how everyone can understand this. Because everything gets so mixed up and it gets so, we don't trust and we're against and we don't want to pay more taxes and we pay enough taxes. We do. You're right, we totally do. Everyone does, especially in Cuyahoga County. You pay more taxes in Cuyahoga County than you do in a lot of other counties around us. But the reality is that when the money isn't coming in because of the cuts, there's only two things you could do. You can try to raise revenue to get it back, or you can cut things. You can do away with things. And we've done that. It's irresponsible, not to mention a gross lie, to say in print or even verbally that we have not made cuts. There's 40-some people out there who lost their jobs that work for the city of Maple Heights, that were laid off, furloughed, whatever, that took retirement, quit, whatever, that are gone, that weren't replaced. And we're still losing them because they don't want to work here. Why don't they want to work here? Because they don't want to work for a city that's in fiscal watch, and they don't want to work for a city that in the future they don't know if they're going to have a job, because their job may be cut too. So if they have a college degree or they have any kind of paper or experience, they're leaving and they're gone. And there's a whole bunch of them, and you're going to be finding out about them, that are leaving us and leaving us with no one. So when things aren't put up on websites or phones aren't answered, or you know what? That's because there's no one there to do that work. There's no one there to answer those phones. There's no one there to put that on a website. Because we don't have anybody. You walk around City Hall, you see one person in an office. Secretaries are gone. Directors are gone. We have 3 people doing one person is doing 3 jobs that hasn't had a pay raise in the last 6 years. We don't have fireworks anymore. The pool will not open this year. This is serious. We will not be hiring summer help this year. We will not be paint striping this year. Only crosswalks around schools and major intersections for public safety issues. There's no money. We're really concerned that we will not make it through the month of May. The bad news just keeps coming. The last advancement from Rita was $22,000 less than the previous year. Why? Because people are not paying their taxes. That's why. People come and they complain, and they call me and they complain, and it's very negative, but they're not paying their taxes. You have to pay your income taxes and you have to pay your property taxes. Between what has been taken from us and the people who are not paying has really put us in a bad position. a horrible position. We have delinquencies in RETA taxes of $2 million with another $2 million in interest and penalties. Does RETA collect it? No. They let it go. How about the county? $9 million in property taxes that was wiped off the books when houses transferred. Why? Because they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to collect it. Almost $2 million right now in outstanding property taxes from Cuyahoga County that they won't collect. Why? Go down to the county and walk around. You think there's dysfunction around here? Go down to the county and walk around. If you can find them, there's a reason the executive doesn't want the media or the public to know about his card swipes in and out of the building, because he's never there. When we walked into the county meeting a few years ago, Councilman Adams, Council President Albers, Tony Jones, the only thing hanging on the walls were wires. The doorknobs were gone. There's nobody there. Everybody's gone. Most everybody. You ask for help, you get nothing. You get nothing. All of our people that represent us have done nothing for us. They do not come here. They do not call us. Our state representative a couple years ago, this is a great story, John Barnes, called me up and said, "Mayor, President Obama is coming to Cleveland. I want him to come to my district." Okay, so do I. How many manufacturing jobs, new manufacturing jobs, are in Maple Heights since he's been president? I said, "That's easy, John. None." He couldn't believe me. He wouldn't believe me. I said, "We don't manufacture anything here. We have nothing here. As you heard tonight, we are a bedroom community." I said, "I wish I could help you or tell you something different, but we do not manufacture anything here. In fact, most cities around here don't make anything or manufacture anything." Do you remember NAFTA? Does anybody remember NAFTA? North American Free Trade Agreement. The United States of America lost between 7 million to 8 million jobs. We don't make anything here anymore. It all goes overseas where muscle and labor is cheap. We've lost revenue from internet cafes, almost $175,000 a year. Why? Because the millionaires who own the casinos had the politicians shut them down. Like-minded individuals, shut them down. Did we have problems with internet cafes? Nope. No robberies, no fighting, no theft, no smoking, no alcohol, just people playing on the computers. Shut them down. That was $175,000 out the window, gone. On the other hand, we thought, foolishly, that we would get some casino revenue. How wrong we were. $7 million of casino revenue. You want to know where it went? $4 million went on Playhouse Square to put up a chandelier that'll take a 100-mile-an-hour wind in a hurricane. So they say on the news. I don't know when we're going to have a 100-mile-an-hour wind in a hurricane. Decorative lighting and the rest of the wrought iron fencing, $4 million on Playhouse Square. Great. $1.5 million went to the redevelopment of the east bank of the flats. Anybody care about that?
No.
The other $1.5 million went to the Dominion gas property so they could redevelop that for downtown housing. Anybody care about that? The county believed, the county council, your executive and your council rep from this city, that the money, and they voted to give it to Cleveland, all of it. When we protested and said, you don't think that maybe people from the suburbs go down to the Horseshoe and gamble? You think you got all that revenue from Clevelanders? You don't think you should be sharing that with the suburbs? Obviously not, because they gave it all to Cleveland. So, this is not new to anyone, and it shouldn't be new to anyone. Campaigns are won or lost on the merits of the issue. I know there's a lot of angry people in this city, a lot of frustrated people, a lot of people who are hurt, fed up, whatever, overtaxed, overburdened. And I wish that I could be more helpful and positive in solving those problems faster. You said no to this body twice, last fall and now again yesterday. I have heard you. You have all heard me. There's going to be some things that are going to be happening in the future that are not going to be real popular for anybody. And until we get out of this mess, and I don't know when that's going to be, if we don't raise revenue, we can keep making the cuts, because by law, we have to provide police, fire, paramedic, service, which is snow removal, pothole patching, things like that, waste removal, solid waste removal, and that's about it. Anything else, some have said, call it frosting on the cake or window dressing, but all those other things, those extra things that cannot be paid for, will not be around anymore. And that's a reality check. And with that, last item. Again, I have heard the veterans tonight, and many of you, there will not be any hot dogs behind City Hall at the Memorial, after the Memorial Day Parade. There will be no magic show. There will be nothing like that. That lot will be used for the parade participants who park there in their cars and vehicles and are driven in golf carts up to the high school. And when they come back from the parade, they'll get in their vehicles. There's not going to be any kind of a carnival atmosphere there. That can certainly happen at another time, at another place. And with that, I'll conclude my report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.